The Chicago Bears finished the 2023 season with a 7-10 record and missed the playoffs for the third consecutive year. It was an up-and-down season for the Bears as they started the year with a 2-7 record through the first 9 games before winning 5 of their final 8 games and effectively saving head coach Matt Eberflus's job. Because of a trade they made last offseason, they have the number 1 overall pick from the Carolina Panthers, and because they won just 7 games in 2023, they also have the number 9 overall pick too. Despite this team winning just 16 games over the past 3 years, their future looks insanely bright, and the Bears can be the next exemplary model of how to rebuild a modern NFL franchise. It's not going to be a seamless transition for them in 2024, and there will certainly be a lot of ups and downs, but the Bears' future is one of the brightest in the entire NFL. In today's video, we're going to break down why their future is so bright, what they can do moving forward, and when they can win the NFC North for the first time since 2018. Now let's begin. We will start today's video by addressing the elephant in the room, which of course is quarterback Justin Fields. I know there's some Bears fans that want Justin to be the guy in 2024 and beyond, but let's go down each path here and play out each scenario if the Bears keep Justin. If they keep Justin, I would like to think Ryan Poles trades back a few picks and hopefully acquires a 2025 first, and in the process ensure he gets Marvin Harrison Jr. This could be a trade back with New England at 3, for example, but if they keep Justin, they have to bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. no matter what, even if that means drafting him number 1 overall in the worst case scenario. They still have pick 9, of course, and if they were to retain Justin, I think the best other case scenario for them would be to draft Dallas Turner and walk out of round 1 with Marv and Dallas. Drafting a good receiver and a good pass rusher with 2 top 10 picks is something no team would scoff at. But now we enter year 4 with Justin Fields, and we would not only be banking on Justin taking another step as a player, but putting our jobs, meaning Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, on the line too. I realize Justin hasn't had the best hand dealt to him from the minute he was drafted from a situation standpoint, whether it was Matt Nagy in year 1 or trading everybody away in year 2 and giving up a second round pick for Chase Claypool, but banking on Justin to become a great player when you were gifted the number 1 pick is way too tall of an ask for me, especially when jobs are on the line. Not only are jobs on the line, but if Justin had a great 4th season, we would be looking at a contract worth north of $200 million versus Caleb Williams effectively making pennies on the dollar. This, of course, brings us to scenario 2, which is trade Justin Fields for what we can get, which I would guess is a 2nd round pick, and draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall and reset the rookie contract window. I released a video a few weeks ago breaking down Caleb's game, and I recommend checking that out, but Caleb makes a lot of sense for this organization for, well, the obvious. He's a great prospect and would have a very good receiver from the start in DJ Moore, and my personal dream scenario for the Bears is not only taking Caleb at pick 1, but taking Washington receiver Rome Odunze at pick 9, and having an offensive trio of Caleb, DJ, and Rome moving forward. Cole Kmet becoming a solid tight end is a bonus, and if this is the offense moving forward, I have no doubt Caleb would become the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears franchise history, and the team's outlook would change monumentally, in a good way. We also have to discuss something that can certainly be a sore subject for Bears fans, and I get it, but Caleb's comp is a blend of a couple of guys, and that includes Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, we know what happened in the 2017 draft, but you have a chance to not draft the next Mahomes per se, but you have a chance to draft a quarterback who can throw from any and every arm angle and rejuvenate an entire city in the process. You can't afford to pass on that and hope Justin Fields continues to develop while passing on Caleb in the process. I think the best landing spot for Justin would be to go to either Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, or Atlanta and wish him well. I have heard rumblings of him going to Minnesota and to eventually be the successor to Kirk Cousins, but quite frankly, I would be surprised if Chicago trades him in division, especially when they can control where Justin goes at this point in time. Walking out of the first round with both Caleb and Rome is not only realistic for Chicago, but likely. And what GM Ryan Poles has to do, which former GM Ryan Pace did not do, is build around his quarterback. We can't have a second time around of hoping we drafted the guy and ask him to be the hero immediately, and his rookie year give him Darnell Mooney, Damiere Byrd, the remnants of Allen Robinson, and Marquise Goodwin, and say, lead us to success. I think Ryan Poles has done a lot of things right so far as the GM of the Bears, outside of the Claypool trade of course, and I trust him to build around his quarterback of the future. Because what Ryan Pace did to Justin Fields in a lot of ways is a textbook definition of what not to do with a young quarterback. And the Bears can and will soon reap the benefits of one of the most lopsided trades in recent history when they select Caleb Williams #1 overall. But one thing that's kind of overlooked with the Bears and why their future is so bright moving forward is they will soon have good offensive pieces to work with, but they have the 4th most cap space heading into free agency, and this is per Spotrac.com. Yes, they will have to allocate a lot of money to Jaylen Johnson, who just had one hell of a season, by the way, and he deserves top dollar. But as simple as this question sounds, so what? So what, you have to pay your best players? Isn't that the goal when you draft guys in the top 2 rounds of the draft? Isn't the goal to develop the guys you select and to have them play for your franchise for at least the next 6 or 7 years when you draft them? My point here is paying Jaylen Johnson this offseason is essential, and having your star corner for the next few years locked in is key. A big reason why paying Jaylen specifically is a big deal is because the Bears traded for Montez Sweat, not a homegrown talent, and immediately gave him a $98 million contract extension, which, by the way, I loved for the Bears and I loved the trade when they made it. But paying a guy who was not a homegrown talent over a guy who was is not a precedent you want to set moving forward. So whatever Jaylen's price is this offseason, you pay it and you sign him. Period. There would still be a ton of cap space available for Chicago to work with during free agency, and we went over a lot of pass rushing free agents that are available, whether it's Danielle Hunter of the Vikings, Chase Young of the 49ers, Jadeveon Clowney of the Ravens, and the list goes on. Chicago did have some solid contribution from DeMarcus Walker in 2023 as he chipped in 47 pressures, but they will need another pass rusher after him. I wouldn't mind them taking one in the 3rd round of the 2024 draft, but when you have as much cap space available as the Bears do this offseason, I would almost prefer going the free agency route for a pass rusher rather than spending a 3rd round pick on a developmental pass rusher, hoping he can get to the production level the free agent would already have in year 1 if all of that makes sense. I do think it would be kind of ironic if the Bears signed Chase Young and had him and Montez Sweat be teammates again after their time in Washington, but I also understand if they went elsewhere, though I love the idea of Chase Young being a low salary, high incentive player free agent acquisition. The details of the contract would be pretty simple because I know fans that have watched Chase Young for half a season or more can get frustrated with him seemingly taking plays off at times, but the contract would be simple: a lower base pay and $1 million incentive for 10 sacks and another $1 million for 12 sacks, and you get the point. Chase will also be just 25 years old for the 2024 season, and if he were to work out, there is a strong possibility he could become a long-term starter. With this concept in mind, I really love the idea of bringing in Chase Young as a free agent, whether it's for the Bears or a team like the Falcons. But even another player like former 2nd round pick Josh Uche of the Patriots is available, and he too is just 25 years old. The options for the Bears at pass rush this offseason are seemingly limitless, and what I also want to emphasize is the Bears allowed just 93 points during the final 6 games of the 2023 season. They improved vastly as the season went on the defensive side of the ball, as the first 4 games were about as disastrous as imaginable, as they had 3 double-digit losses and lost a close one to Denver in week 4. This was also a week after Denver lost by 50 points to Miami. Chicago allowed 137 points in the first 4 games, which equated to 34.25 per game. Chicago had a lot of bumps in the 2023 season, and especially early on, but the bumps became a hell of a lot smoother as the year went on and as they weathered the storm. And now you're telling me they have one of the best cap situations and have 2 top 10 draft picks in an absolutely loaded class? Well, guys, it's pretty safe to say I like the future of the Chicago Bears quite a bit, and I can't wait to see what they do this offseason. The one negative thing about the Bears rebuild that admittedly I'm not the most comfortable about moving forward is the decision to keep Matt Eberflus as head coach. Yes, you can point to the positives that they had towards the end of the year on the defensive side of the ball, but I am a firm believer that Jim Harbaugh is a better NFL head coach than Matt Eberflus, and I fully believe Chicago had the best chance to hire him. Not only Harbaugh, but who's to say Ben Johnson of the Lions wouldn't have taken the Chicago job, knowing he will have Caleb Williams to work with and another top 10 pick in his bag, which could very easily be spent on a top receiver. We obviously don't know whether Ben would have taken the Bears job if it were available, and given he is still on the Lions staff, he of course would decline and say he'd rather stay in Detroit, but I do think both guys would have been better than Eberflus in 2024. Having said this, I think there is a very real possibility the Bears have success in 2024 and even beyond 2024 for that matter with Caleb, DJ, and the gang, but are limited by Eberflus, and that concerns me. I also think there is a real possibility for the Bears that I don't want to say underachieve because that's the wrong word next year, but not win many games because they have a rookie quarterback and a head coach who I think is better suited as a defensive coordinator than a head coach, and I worry the Bears have Eberflus be the scapegoat 1 year from now and effectively do the same thing with Caleb as they did with Justin in this regard. The head coaching regard, that is, because there would be a substantial difference in the talent on their roster when Justin was entering his second season back in 2022 versus the presumable talent that will be on the Bears roster entering the 2025 season. That is the one big thing that scares me with the Bears' future, because if they had a Jim Harbaugh or if they had a Ben Johnson, I don't think saying they could become what the Lions have over the past 3 years is entirely unreasonable. That is, of course, if they had the premier head coach, which they don't. Having said that, I still think it's relatively easy to buy in with the Bears moving forward because they ended their season on a lot better of a note than they started and have a ton of assets they can sink into both sides of the ball this offseason to get better. Obviously, we can do this with a lot of teams and a lot of games for that matter, but the Bears were an extreme collapse against the Lions in Week 11 away from being an 8-win team with 2 top 9 draft picks. They had a receiver go for nearly 1,400 yards in his first year with the team, with a quarterback who's never thrown for 3,000 yards in a season, and an undrafted rookie quarterback from the Shepherd University. Shout out Agent Bajent. Not only does Chicago have DJ Moore moving forward, but they also finished second in rushing yards as a team in 2023 and 6th in yards per carry as a team. And yes, Justin Fields was the leading rusher with a little over 650 yards, but they had multiple backs average over 4 yards per carry, and their offensive line should, in theory, only get better from 2023 to 2024. I thought Ryan Poles handled the 2023 season pretty well, and I liked what he did in free agency in acquiring both TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. This team is also very young, and I think the situation Caleb will walk into is a little underrated by the national media, because not only is he going to have DJ Moore to throw the football to, but he'll have a right tackle in Darnell Wright with a year of experience underneath his belt, and a player who I think can be a Pro Bowler as early as next year in Tevin Jenkins. Yes, there are some holes the Bears need to fix, but if this team can play defensively the way they were at the end of the 2023 season throughout the 2024 season, and assuming they don't leave Caleb completely out to dry in his rookie year, which, by the way, he already has a better supporting cast than what Justin Fields did 3 years ago, the Bears will be just fine. I don't think them making the playoffs in 2024 is entirely out of the question either. I like this team's future a lot, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, as only about 32% of people watching are subscribed, and it helps the channel tremendously. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.